My name's Tony Treacy. I'm the Managing Director of Pitch Factory, which is an agency that works in marketing and communication here in London. I'm at DAM Europe, run by Henry Stewart today, and that's a very interesting conference. We start talking about some of the technology behind DAM, as well as some of the benefits to the brands. But we also wanted to get a perspective, if you like, for the people who are behind DAM systems. So it's my pleasure to introduce you and to meet David Salisbury. He's Head of Online Content Management at Swarovski, and he's going to talk a little bit about his experience running the project for them. David.
I've been at Swarovski now for 5 years. It's true, my training is more creative. I've worked in a multimedia production, but I found myself through the journey of digital transformation in an e-commerce environment. And I have been working on e-commerce websites and various retail platforms for 15, 16 years now. And I'm now working in a digital asset. I have a digital asset management topic ownership underneath me within my team at Swarovski.
So could you tell us a little bit more about the team? So how is your team configured and what do they do?
Sure. So you would probably bucket my team in a more content operations role. So we're very much involved in the delivery to the website of the communication material, whether it's product data, whether it's communication material. And we also have a third-party wing, which are very much concerned with working directly with the different marketplaces and market platforms, the big players, the multi-brands and pure players as well. And we have graphic design capabilities in our team because we also work with the performance marketing. So hence we do a lot of templating and delivery of various banners and teasers for websites and for Google.
How big is the online platform as an e-commerce platform?
What, Swarovski's platform? Yeah. I mean, we're a sizable team, the e-commerce team at Swarovski, probably about 60 people in total. So it's a large organization with a huge remit to deliver. Yeah.
Right. So if you think about your kind of job as DAM manager, how did you land that? How did you end up taking that responsibility?
Yeah, so we had a little transformation within the organization about 1.5 years ago, and I was given this new topic of DAM management. And it's more in the light that I have a person who's responsible to manage digital assets. The actual tool, the system itself, sits within another department. So we started a small project which was to prove the capabilities that DAM could deliver if we changed a few of the configurations, and we worked a little bit on the taxonomies and the metadata. So this was our starting point.
In terms of metadata, that's been a key topic actually at the conference. How have you approached that? How have you tried to make sure that the metadata is as broad and deep as necessary really to use in an online platform like yours?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, what we did is we proved it on a small scale. So we linked it directly to our CMS. So what we said in our CMS, we have certain components, certain areas of the website that we know can take structured content. And so we labeled these things in a certain way, and then we transferred those labels into the metadata. And then what we were doing is we were making these smart connections between the two. So we would then show that to our colleagues and other teams, would you like to see this asset here? Great. And we use metadata to call it up, and suddenly they were seeing the benefits from this much smoother and quicker transition.
Is that is the asset management side of it linked to the product information that you have around the product database?
Yeah, so around the PIM is slightly separated from the digital asset management, and this is part of the bigger project that we now work on at Swarovski, which is to kind of bring them all together and make it a little bit more of a tighter connection. So we have these multiple systems delivering multiple streams of data, and it gets a little bit confusing. Where's the ownership? Where's the single source? So the idea is really to bring them to one central core, and that core becomes a publishing system and delivers outwards.
Okay. I wanted to know really as well, in terms of therefore your DAM responsibilities, perhaps slightly away from your also creative responsibilities, how much involvement do you have on a day-to-day basis? What happens to your day as a result of taking this responsibility on?
So as the DAM has evolved within the organization to become a much bigger project, so now we have a whole project team of which I'm the project owner, and our remit is to deliver a cloud-based distribution solution, which we call a syndication, for our digital assets and also for our product assets. And then we want to be able to send those out enterprise-wide, not only to Swarovski-owned commerce and Swarovski-owned stores, but also to third parties and multi-brand stores. So we're kind of working on this massive project that on a daily basis, I would have, say, a stand-up, we have work packages, you know, how far are we with the development in this week's sprint, and you know, what are we missing, you know, go to meetings, spend quite a bit of time trying to get the financing, the budget on track, so reporting upwards, keeping that communication level going. I think I spend probably about 20 to 30% of my time in a week really taking that digital asset management project back into the organization higher up, and then trying to like determine, you know, how do I manage the change that will come once we go live with it. And you know, for me, the go live is not we turned on a DAM system. The go live is the user uptake throughout the organization, and this is the big piece that we're really working on hard. How do we manage this change management?
What do you think the attitude of your colleagues around the business has been to this? I think they're sceptical as to the benefits, you think, or are they open and willing to take it on? What sort of things have you encountered?
Yeah, so I mean, in a general sense, they love it, because I'm quite good at saying this is the vision. So there is a vision behind doing digital asset management correctly. And you know, for me, that vision is a few years down the road, but you know, in retail terms, that's tomorrow. So from that perspective, it's great. But when it impacts directly on someone's role, it's a little bit more complicated, because then you might be asking them to change the way they work, or to do things slightly differently, or to interact with other people. And as I don't own these people, they don't work in my team, or they work, you know, in a totally different business unit, then I have to go to their bosses or the managers in those areas, and then have these conversations, and then try and convince them that there is a benefit if we start to like bring it all together. But it's a slow ship.
Is it? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Hard sell.
It's a hard sell. Yeah.
So how long do you expect to be in this role, do you think?
I believe that digital asset management, it will never end. That there's always going to be some new technology, something else to integrate, some other way of doing things. And I believe that my personal journey within the digital asset management will only get bigger. I could see it having a big impact on how I'm actually positioned within the company, unless we have another organizational shift. But I see it will become a much more of a dominant part of my portfolio in the coming year or two. And I believe that it will also help much more towards the digital transformation goals that we have. Maybe I end up in omnichannel, I don't know, because it's, you know, it really becomes an omnichannel topic.
I think you mentioned to me that there were some sort of very clear benefits that you saw from a marketing and sales perspective, if you like, from implementing DAM. So I don't know if you could explain a bit around what was the gap that was there before, and how have you bridged that gap, and what sort of results have you seen? Okay,
so what we noticed is that we had this huge time lag between, you know, wanting to put something live and actually be able to get that asset, source it, do the necessary work on it through the production, and then push it out into whatever format it may be. So we decided that if we can tag things slightly better, as I explained earlier on, but then also if we can start to structure the taxonomies slightly more, we're able to then share those with people in other departments that maybe don't need us to do the work for them. And so through that sharing, we found that, say, for performance marketing, for example, their production and their output of digital banners has gone up tenfold. So suddenly they are producing banners in 13 languages, you know, and multiple different variations of them much quicker, because they get the assets and they get them really quickly. In the email marketing teams, for example, they follow the same structure, and they're able to like really just source those documents up and insert them into whatever templates they need. It's sped up a lot, just having that small layer of like we all have the same understanding of using the assets.
Does the asset management system sort of cover both the obviously the online store, but also, you know, offline print and physical store requirements? Is it one encompassing system? Yes. Or is that a goal?
Yeah. It does cover both. Unfortunately, that's not under me yet, or maybe it never will be, but it is part of what the digital assets management system can do. They are both there, both online and offline. All of our communication data is there. At the moment, we really just focus on delivering in the e-commerce environment. And then once we start, and the e-commerce environment, I also include social posting, also include our third party. And once we can get that right, then we can start to really roll it out and ramp it up and say, how do we also support, say, in-store window displays, or how do we support brochure production, whatever is necessary further down the line.
So at the moment they're kind of being run as almost like slightly separate things, sort of linked.
They are, and they always have been separate. So from a maturity perspective, have we got the roles and responsibilities correct? Have we reached the full potential of what the DAM solution should be doing for us? No, we're on a journey and we're discovering that. So we're kind of doing bite-sized pieces at a time.
So this looks like a project, an initiative that's been quite good fun, quite challenging. What's the best part of it from your perspective?
I really like when you get those aha moments, when people suddenly see a benefit of something that they've maybe done 3 or 4 months previously, like maintaining some kind of metadata, or putting in place a strong taxonomy or naming convention, and then you're able to show them maybe 3 or 4 months later how that's actually impacting directly on their work, or where it's been shared outside of their own kind of siloed working environment. And these moments happen more frequently the more people that are adopting it, but they're also quite encouraging, because then people start to talk about it, and then we get that little bit of boosting, because people go like, hey, I'm an ambassador of this. I really like it. I think that's a great idea.
Now, this responsibility obviously is project management. It's about implementation. It's thinking through processes and so on. Do you miss the creative side? Is that fallen away slightly because of this?
Not in a general sense. I mean, I haven't probably put my hands into Photoshop for quite a few years, so I'm not really missing it in a kind of on a daily basis discipline and from a discipline perspective. But what I maybe miss is, that if I get too involved in projects, then I don't spend enough time with the team that I have working on in other areas. So I have to rely on them to really be the subject matter experts and deliver according to what our goals and business objectives are. So I miss that side a little bit more, that I'm not involved as much as I would like to be sometimes.
I think, though, that's probably true, but I wonder whether actually, coming from the background you have, you're probably best placed to implement a DAM, because sometimes that responsibility falls to others. Like perhaps IT might be the obvious suspect, and the big advantage you have is what's involved in doing the job, and where these things are going, what their function is, what their purpose is.
Yeah, that's true. I think I bring a unique perspective, because I really have worked in the business user role and the front end role for quite some years, so really very close to the customer, and not only to the customer but to the tools that are one step before the customer sees what we have as communication or what we have as product. And so for me, it's quite important that I'm able to translate that a little bit more into like a valuable tool and a valuable system that starts to benefit a little bit wider than my own experiences.
Okay, so thank you very much, David, for your time this afternoon, and thank you for watching.